Hey guys, the PlayStation 2 is one of the most important consoles in the JRPG genre. Why? Because it just has too many RPGs. Too many, whether they're Japanese RPGs or Western RPGs or from wherever, it just has way too many. It is, I believe, the console that has the most RPGs ever in the history of gaming. So it was only natural for me to make a second part for a Hidden Gems video, because it just has a lot of good JRPGs. Like in other consoles, for example, I couldn't make one Hidden Gems video because even though these consoles like the PSP or the Nintendo DS or maybe, I don't know, the PlayStation 1, they have too many great JRPGs, but let's just put it like this. Half of the RPG genre, RPG library for the PlayStation 1 is great and the other half is bad. On the PlayStation 2, however, many of these games are really unknown or really hidden, and turns out they're just great. Of course, for us RP gamers, most of these games are pretty well known. Some of these are half known, there's a lot of people who don't know them. Who knows, right? To me, they are hidden gems. They are games that maybe more people should know about and play. So, it was only natural to make a part 2 of the Hidden Gems video for the PlayStation 2. Let's begin. Number 10, Drakengard 2. Yeah, sure, we're all familiar with Drakengard 1 and 3, but seriously, no one ever gave two fucks about Drakengard 2. It's like maybe some criticism here and there turned the fans off and almost killed the franchise, until Drakengard 3 came along with Nier. Or maybe it was because its real name was Drag on Dragoon, Love Red, Ambivalence Black? What kind of name is that? The thing is, Drakengard 2 was released in 2005. The series spawned Nier, which was a spin-off in 2010, and then until 2013 Drakengard 3 was released. So 8 years between the second one and the third one. No wonder this game faded into oblivion. And here I thought it was way better than the first one, at least in terms of gameplay, which was the very thing everyone criticized. Well, to each their own. Much like in the previous Drakengard, this one's also a hack and slash, similar to Dynasty Warriors, but with the option to change between different characters in mid-battle, which I thought to be awesome. So it might not be an unknown or really hidden gem, but it's a gem nonetheless. Number 9, Wild Arms Alter Code F. This is actually the one we're all familiar with, but many people don't know it was remade in 2003 for the PS2. To be honest, I thought the PS1 version was okay, a little generic in terms of story and gameplay, but with that original feeling of the Wild West. However, when I played Alter Code F, another name that I have no idea why it was called that way, I mean, what does even Alter Code mean in the Wild Arms lore? And what is the F for? Well, I got sidetracked there. What I was saying was that I enjoyed this remake version better than the original. Perhaps it was the graphic improvement or the little details they polished, but it was truly an enhanced version of the first Wild Arms. As to why this game is so hidden, well, it's always been rare and expensive, going for about $100 nowadays. But if you somehow manage to get both versions, or play them, make a comparison for yourself. Maybe you'll prefer the original one because of the nostalgia value, but I'm staying with this awesome remake that really made me have a much better experience. It's really an awesome remake. Number 8, Shining Force EXA. This is actually the last Shining Force game to be released outside Japan, back in 2007. Here, you take control of two different characters, a swordsman and a magician, both with opposite personalities and heirs to the Shining Force sword. Unlike most of the previous games, which were strategy RPGs, this one's a hack and slash with an overview system similar to games like Diablo. And unlike Shining Force Neo, also for the PS2, which in my opinion is very mediocre, EXA is actually really good. I got actually pretty far in this game, but had to quit because damn, it's hard. Yeah. It's not as hard as Diablo though, or many others of its kind, but hard even so. You go around sometimes swarmed by enemies, fighting them alongside two party members, and even like that it can still get pretty nasty every now and then. So if you're into these kinds of action RPGs, you have to definitely give Shining Force EXA or EXA a chance. It's really good and really hard. Full Metal Alchemist and the Broken Angel. What, you didn't know there was a Full Metal Alchemist RPG for the PS2? Well, now you know. It's an action RPG loosely based on the famous manga and anime series everyone already knows. The story of this game was actually written by the manga's author, Hiromu Arakawa. Now, there is one topic I'd like to address. I am aware that this game is allegedly terrible and that many people criticized it, mainly because of its graphics, but in all honesty possible, I strongly disagree with all that. Sure, it may not be a masterpiece or a great game, but for those looking to play as Edward or Alphonse, going around, transmuting things and kicking some asses, this is a very solid video game for them. I am not going to recommend it to everybody because it does have its flaws. However, it's a good game, hidden gem, that at least deserved a place on my list. Mainly because, you know, a lot of people overlooked it. That sucks. And of course, the next one had to be the second one, Curse of the Crimson Elixir, the sequel. And wow, talk about improvement. Almost all of the flaws of the first game were fixed for this long-awaited sequel. Here I seriously have to praise how all those annoying details like the camera movement or the dull controls were improved. And it's still an action RPG, of course. Now, I know I said sequel twice at the beginning, but this game is actually a prequel to the first game, also written by the same author, or based on her story at least. Curse of the Crimson Elixir, however, was also overlooked. First of all because the previous game didn't fare too well, so a lot of people expected nothing from this one and decided to ignore it. That was a big mistake, obviously, because it was a much better game. And second, well, it's far from being a great JRPG, but it is still something that I will actually do recommend to everybody, whether they're fans of the series or not. It's a pretty decent game, so yes, it is recommended even to the fans. Play it, it's great. There was actually a third part in the series for the PS2, but this one was never released outside Japan. Next is But Chronicles. How to describe this game? Well, as you can see, it's an action RPG in which your character controls a robot called a Trotmobile to fight. But to leave it at that will be pretty unfair, since this is a game that also includes music. And by that, I don't mean just a soundtrack, no. I mean that your character learns how to play several different instruments throughout the game, while he is in a band. Which is a big part of the story and the gameplay actually, functioning sort of like a rhythm game by clicking on the right buttons. This game's amazing. The gameplay mechanics might be enough reason to get your hands on it, because the story is kind of cheesy, and the character development takes a lot of cliches from your everyday anime-ish plots. But it's good nonetheless, don't worry about it. The story is decent enough, and it's a pretty decent game. It also includes your typical customization part, of course, classic of any mecha titles. You know, being a game like this, I find it a little sad that it wasn't that successful, but in any case, it is a hidden gem that I totally recommend. Forever Kingdom. Forever Kingdom is an action RPG which I already covered in my top 10 most unknown PS2 JRPGs. It is a sequel to the infamous Evergrace, and I say infamous because even though that game's pretty unknown, it's kind of lame and mediocre. Forever Kingdom, however, it's way better than Evergrace in my opinion. Not only because you now have party members fighting by your side, but because both the story and the gameplay felt more solid. as if they improved over the previous title. At least the battle system was faster, more fluid, and addicting. It's a game that is far from being a masterpiece like many others on this list, but it's a great adventure and something you might want to try out if you can get your hands on it, because it's pretty decent, and trust me, I don't know, the story is really good, and like I said, the gameplay, especially the battle system, it's just amazing. Number 3, Tsukanai Atonement. Another game I covered in the Most Unknown video. This one's actually really unknown, one of the most unknown and hidden of all, as a matter of fact. You might be thinking just by looking at the battle system that it appears to be somewhat generic, dull perhaps, boring, but trust me, it's not. Of course, I don't mean to say it's extremely original or fun, but it's just that the battle system is not the strong point of this game. The story is, you play as a mercenary who one day angers the gods, and they separate his body from his soul. So to atone for angering them, he must possess the bodies of several different people and assist them on their problems. Sounds awesome, right? And to make matters even better, the music of this game was composed by none other than Yasunori Mitsuda, who did the music for Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. So yup, strongly recommended. Growlancer Generations is a pack with 2 games that never came out of Japan until Working Designs localized them here. So number 2 technically goes to the second game in the series, which is called The Sense of Justice. It's a strategy RPG, very difficult and short, but with several different routes and endings which highly elevate its replay value. I've praised this franchise ever since I first played its game several years ago, and I always take the opportunity to do so in every single one of my videos where I talk about them. The Sense of Justice, in my opinion, is the weakest of them all, but damn is it good nonetheless. You can take control up to 8 characters at the same time, and the gameplay functions much like a real-time strategy in which you choose their actions and they carry them out by themselves. The music is awesome, the story is great, the character development really stands out. Man, everything in the Growlancer games is terrific. If you can get your hands on this small collection, then you will be in for a very original surprise. And of course, number 1 had to be Growlancer 3, The Dual Darkness. The first 3 Growlancer games are a part of a trilogy that takes place in the same universe but with several differences. The first game was released for the PS1 and then remade for the PSP, but we never got either version, unfortunately. The second one is a direct sequel, but the third part is actually a prequel to the other 2. It's the best of the 3, in my opinion, so damn good with a battle system that's as addicting as the other 2. Here, however, you're down with 4 party members per battle, which I thought was lame, but I felt very rewarded thanks to the strategy value the gameplay gives you. Again, it's the same real-time battle system when it comes to carrying out every action you choose for your characters. The battles here are so dynamic, the missions most of the time with very different objectives. The story is also greater than the other 2, and everything else, music, characters, graphics, etc., are just simply amazing. Totally a hidden gem and totally recommended. I love the Growlancer series. Too bad it's dead. You know, I'm going to say it one more time, just to be redundant, just to insist, because Growlancer is just so a fantastic JRPG franchise. Yes, it's dead. That's so sad because maybe they were so hard for us. I mean, I have played harder games than this, really, and they're successful. And I don't mean to say, I don't know, Fire Emblem. No, there's just many JRPGs that are harder than this, and they are successful, they were successful. But Growlancer Generations, nobody knows what happened to them. Nobody knows what happened to the Growlancer franchise, and that's really sad because it's a really wonderful series of RPGs. So again, like in every single one of my videos in which I talk about at least one of these games, I'm going to say it one more time. Play these games. They are masterpieces. They are awesome, great stories, great gameplay, great strategy RPGs, great voice acting, actually great design, character growth, great everything. These games are really, really good, as the rest of my hidden gems. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time.